Hello, and welcome to Office Hours with Dr. Dan. I'm Dan. Today we're going to talk about how to study for a STEM test. And by STEM, I mean science, technology, engineering, and math. And quite frankly, the best way to study for a STEM test is to work and rework problems until you're consistently getting those problems right. And by problems, I mean old homework problems, examples from the book, examples from class, problems from quizzes. So you're just working and reworking problems until you get them right. And then towards the end of your studying, you should have, as kind of your last thing to do before you're getting ready to go into the test, is an old test that you take under the exact conditions that you're going to have during the test, meaning if it's a closed book test, you're going to take that practice test closed book. If it's an open book test, then you're going to go in and you're going to take that practice test with the exact same things that you're allowed to take in on the test. So you're trying to recreate the conditions as much as possible. Right? And you also want to make sure that you leave yourself enough time that if you find that you're having an area or areas that you're just not able to get, you're just having problems with certain types of problems, that you have time to go talk to your professor or your TA or someone else that's in the class and that's taken the class before you, that you can get those questions resolved. And no one cares how many hours you spend studying for a test. I mean, it just doesn't matter, because it's all about, can you get the correct answer? There's no grade based on, oh, well, so-and-so spent 50 hours studying for the test and the other person only spent 10. Well, if this person that spent 10 gets the most problems right, guess what? They get the highest grade. So again, it's all about being able to work problems. It's not about how long did you spend studying. All right. And bragging about pulling an all-nighter is really not something to brag about. That's very inefficient. It's a big waste of time. And it's all about efficiently and effectively studying for a test, not the number of hours you put in. When I was an undergrad, all I had to do was school. I didn't have an outside job. I didn't have anything to worry about other than ROTC. But my grades were not that great. I had a 3.17 ACUM when I graduated from my undergrad. But flash forward several years, and I'm working on my master's while working for someone else full-time, so I'm going to school at night for a civil engineering master's degree, and my grades ended up being a 3.48. Flash forward another couple years, and I'm working on my PhD, commuting between Houston and College Station while running my business, and that's about an hour and 45 minutes, a 2-hour drive each way. And then my PhD, my grade was 3.59. So, those aren't 4.0 grades, obviously, but my master's and PhD grades were much higher, even though I had a whole lot more going on. All right? So it's all about being efficient and effective. All right? So when you're studying, you need to find some place where you are able to focus, where you don't have distractions, where you can focus wholly on studying for the test or working on whatever else you're working on, if it's homework or whatever. And dorm room is probably the worst place to study, because there's everything going on around you. I mean, you may have a roommate that's coming and going, or roommates. So you need to find places to study. That's why they have things called libraries, right? Or you find some little forgotten nook someplace on campus where you can go and study. And really best to leave your electronics as home to the greatest extent possible, so you're not tempted to check your social media accounts, because really no one's so important that they have to go and check everything every 30 or 40 minutes. I mean, really, you can put those aside and concentrate on studying the test, so that way when you're done studying for the test, you can go and do what else you need. You don't have something nagging you in the back, say, oh, I really got to study for this test. You go in and you have specific places and times that you're going to study for your test, and those you devote wholly to that and nothing else. And don't try to come in and cram the night before a test. That's just really not the way to go. A tired brain isn't going to remember as much as a fresh brain. So if you break it up into multiple sessions, now obviously it's like, hey, how can you say that? You know how busy STEM students are. Yeah, it's all about being, again, scheduling out things and being effective. Waiting till the last minute is not the way to go. All right, maybe you can pull that off every once in a while, and if you can consistently pull that off, well, then you're not going to be watching this video anyway. But really breaking your study sessions up into 1 at most 2 hours, then taking a break, walking around, maybe switching places, and going back and studying, so that you're breaking things up, you're giving your brain a little bit of a rest. So trying to cram in one fell swoop is not the way to do it. All right? And the way to start studying for the test is to do your own homework. All right? I realize that there are these websites you can go to and pretty much find the solutions manual to every bit of whatever that's out there. Every homework problem and every textbook is that solution's probably out there on the internet someplace. But resist the temptation to go out and use those resources, because you're not doing yourself any favor just blindly copying homework. All right, so do your own homework. If you want to go use those online references that really shouldn't be there anyway, if you want to use those to check your work, that's one thing. You do all your own work, you get your final answer, you want to check to make sure you got it right, then that's one thing that you can use those resources for. But just bear in mind that the solutions manuals are not always correct themselves. All right, especially for the early editions of a book, there's going to be a lot of mistakes in there. So those solutions manuals are not necessarily going to be doing you a whole lot of good, even if you're just using them to check your work. And if you're going in and turning in solutions that match the incorrect solution in the solutions manual, then the grader, the professor, the TA is going to have a pretty good idea of who's not doing their own homework. All right. And when you're going in for the test, don't expect the problems on the test to be exactly the same as the homework quiz or example problems. I mean, your professors just aren't going to be giving you the exact same problem. That's not doing anybody any good, because you have to know, well, when are these problems or when are the specific solutions relevant? All right, so you're going to have to take different pieces, parts of theory, and combine them and work through some problems. But again, the more problems that you've worked through before you go in and take the test, the easier it's going to be for you to realize, oh, this is this kind of problem, or this is a simply supported beam problem, or it's the phase relationship problem, or this is an entropy problem. And then you know the theory behind that and how you can go through the different steps. So again, don't think that you're going to see exactly the same problems on the test. There's going to be certain categories of problems that you'll see, and the more problems that you've worked through, the quicker you're going to be able to get through those, and the more theory you're going to remember more quickly. All right. For non-math type problems, for theory type problems, use the ask and answer method. So this is basically you go in and you're asking yourself questions and you're answering those questions out loud. And this is key, that you have to answer those questions out loud. So if it's a definition of something like what is a phase diagram, then you have to be able to go in and say a phase diagram shows the different phases of soil. All right, that's civil engineering definition. All right, and it has to be out loud, because it's real easy to trick yourself that you just ask the question in your mind and you go through and answer the question in your mind. You really do need to answer that out loud. And if you're in a class where you have to actually memorize formulas or definitions or chemical compounds, flashcards are a really, really good way to do that. Whether you're old school and you're writing them out on index cards, or whether you're using an app on your phone. So the flashcards are a whole lot better than just writing it out on a piece of paper, because you can shuffle the flashcards. You can mix up the order, because if you're just going down pieces of paper with definitions and formulas and things like that, a lot of times you tend to subconsciously you're memorizing the order of things, and then when they don't show up on exactly that order on the test, you're kind of out of luck. So flashcards are really good for testing yourself for things that you actually have to memorize. So in summary, for STEM tests, work problems, work problems, work problems. Do your own work. Right? If you're consistently doing your own work as you're going through class, you're going to be much better prepared for the test. It's going to take you less time to study for the test. Be focused while you're studying. Again, don't just study in a distracted environment where there's videos going, music playing, all this going on. Go where you can focus. Leave your electronics at home so that you can focus on studying. Don't try to study all at once. Don't try to cram everything into an all-nighter, because it's just not going to be effective. Use the ask and answer method for non-math type problems, so you can quiz yourself and ask yourself a question, say the answer out loud. It's going to help you retain it a lot better. And then as you get towards the end of your studying, as you get close to the test, work an old test to test yourself to see how are you doing. Are there any areas that you need to go back and work some more problems or get help from your professors? So again, it's not about just putting in time and time and time. You need to work efficiently and effectively, and if you do this, you'll probably find that you're spending a whole lot less time studying for tests, and you're going to get better grades. So hopefully this has helped. Take care, and I'll see you next time.